In the wake of the quartz crisis and resurgence of romantic mechanical watchmaking, battery-driven watches became taboo, less than their mechanical peers. But if we transport ourselves back to the 70s, while many of the Swiss manufacturers were ruining the day quartz technology was born, the first ever digital watch, the Hamilton Pulsar, arrived to much fanfare, futuristic and next-gen. In those days, it may as well have been the birth of the iPhone. This is why it was very suited, and perhaps even more fitting, for Roger Moore as James Bond to sport one and live and let die. And even in the real world, it became a hot and novel wrist attraction that was worn by the likes of Elvis, Jack Nicholson, Keith Richards, Elton John, and more. Furthermore, these Pulsar watches were even co-branded and sold by Tiffany & Co. And were even sold in precious metal. So when its revival, the Hamilton PSR, arrived in 2020, the quartz snob chatter was considerably silenced by the overwhelming nostalgia and appreciation for a design icon of the past. Since 2020, we have seen the same model presented in new colorways, both in terms of case and bracelet and digital display. But today we have a new PSR model joining the existing lineup, the PSR 74. As its name suggests, the PSR 74 draws inspiration from the Pulsar cushion introduced in 1974. Whereas the modern PSR launched in 2020 measures 41mm in diameter, 13.3mm thick, and has a case length of 35mm, the new PSR 74 scales the measurements down to 30.9mm in diameter, 12.4mm in thickness, and a case length of 25.6mm. That being said, while noticeably smaller, it is equally robust, maintaining a 100-meter depth rating. In the same manner the PSR was introduced initially in fully brushed stainless steel and yellow gold PVD steel, the PSR 74 has been introduced in both fully brushed colorways, each outfitted with an LCD OLED display with red numerals. And these numerals have been designed to maintain the original typeface seen in 1974. But another case difference, aside from the obvious size difference, is the PSR 74 case has two pushers, one at 3 o'clock and one at 9 o'clock. This allows you to simultaneously view both the time and date on demand. Now, it's not just the case size difference between the PSR and PSR 74 that is very noticeable, but the style of bracelet as well. Smaller presidential style links have been swapped out for the Pulsar cushion of 1974's dramatically tapered bracelet with broader Y-shaped links. With its much more narrow silhouette, it has more of a bangle style bracelet look. The bracelet is secured to the wrist via a butterfly style clasp that, in my opinion, allows you to keep the watch better centered on the wrist. So, I've mentioned the design differences of the modern PSR watches, but what is the price difference? At $745 US, the stainless steel model is priced $50 US less than the previous PSR equivalent, which, in a smaller size, is to be expected. All things considered, I don't anticipate those with larger wrists opting for the smaller PSR 74. That being said, the PSR 74 is not overtly being marketed towards women. So effectively, Hamilton has simply expanded the collection to add a new heritage-derived profile and form to, literally, add new dimension to its modern PSR lineup, something I would never complain about. With its smaller size, I would say the key difference between the models is the PSR feels like a watch with a bracelet, whereas the PSR 74 may feel more like a bracelet with a watch. But don't forget, they are both equally functional and robust. Perhaps the PSR 74 is even more functional. Ultimately, in a wristwatch landscape that is seeing a shift to more design-driven sensibilities, the PSR 74 is a functional watch that delivers retro-futuristic design that harkens back to 70s flair. And 70s style is very hot and in demand horologically speaking right now. The Hamilton PSR 74 is available now for purchase, priced at $745 US in stainless steel and $845 US in the yellow gold PVD configuration. Now, what I want to know in the comments is which PSR model would you choose? Are you going to stick with the original PSR, or are you going to opt for perhaps the groovier PSR 74? Let me know in the comments. Look, as always, I really appreciate you watching this video, but please do me a huge favor. It would be very groovy if you did. Hit that subscribe button so that you can be apprised of the latest watch news, reviews, and content. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.